when you look at the indictment, you've obviously got salacious details. You've got an auditor getting lap dances, and all of that sounds like, wow, everybody's goose is cooked. But when you look a little deeper, like you usually do in these sorts of cases, things start to look a little bit different. First, we know the auditor was separately indicted and he pleaded not guilty. So there may be a trial there, and there's not going to be testimony by that person unless he cuts a deal or separately gets convicted before this trial. But the other aspect of this is taxes are kind of a static thing, right? Either the claims were appropriate or inappropriate. And it seems that the clubs have a pretty good argument here that the receipts were properly categorized. This reminds me a lot of the Donald Trump case in the sense that once again, we have New York arguing a large scale fraud case where the real issue is what you should have considered something when you made your taxes, an entry into the books. And they've blown it out of proportion because, again, you've got salacious details. This looks very much to me like somebody making a mountain out of a molehill based on the same theories before by using the law that they tried to create against Donald Trump, but also doubling down on those theories to maybe try to put some pressure off of themselves and their own conduct. I think one of the reasons that this place is targeted is because it's a strip club. And then obviously you've got people saying, well, everything here must be seedy, right? And that's one of the reasons why they were chosen as potential defendants. But if you take that away and you look at it like any specific corporation, you would notice that there are judgment calls that are always made as to how to categorize something. And those judgment calls don't necessarily mean fraud. So it's very possible that this auditor may have gotten lap dances and gifts and all of that, but it only turns into bribery when that is also done consistent with some sort of bad conduct, right? Looking the other way on something. There's got to be the other leg of the quid pro quo. And I really just don't see that other side of the quid pro quo yet. If I was a defense attorney defending this case, here's exactly what I do. First, you've got to get a forensic auditor to look at the entries, the claims in the books, and find out if the receipts are supported under the tax code, right? Remember, we saw this in the Trump case. The New York tax code is different than the federal tax code, and they can be prosecuted differently. So you're going to want to have an expert cover down on New York state tax code because this is not going to be a federal issue yet. But I may want to have them look into it in case this ends up in federal court as well. But in addition, experts like that, in addition, you're going to want to show the judge that you can't put the auditor on the stand because they were separately indicted. So you're going to show all the communication with the auditor. Here's the books that we sent him. Here's all of the information that we provided, and he made his decision. And as a defense, you're going to want to stand in the shoes of that auditor and say his decisions were not corrupt. They made sense. They were valid under the tax code. And once that defense is put on, I would see that they potentially have a very good chance if this case actually went to trial, if you set aside the sort of trappings of strip club that Letitia James, I'm sure, wants to put into this case. So is this case politically motivated? I would say certainly, right? We've got this conduct going from allegedly 2014, I believe, to 2025, we see once again a very late indictment being brought. That means somebody brought this case from a pile of cases and decided to pluck it out now. We've got sensational headlines. We've got strip club auditors, right? We've got a publicly traded company. Oftentimes, we will see prosecutors right around the time they're about to be facing re-election, trying to bring big cases like this with sensational headlines where they don't really have the goods to fully handle the prosecution. I would say the Trump case, the Diddy case, the Fulton County cases against Trump are very good examples of people trying to make their career off of indicting people that are high profile.